In this episode, we have there's some saucy details I can tell you.
We
In this episode,
with search engines and ended with penguin porn.
Yep, I'm not sure
when you just phrase it like that. We just talked about penguins, and a couple of results showed up on the Google search that were on the screen. You'll have to watch till the end. Very interesting. We actually talk about Google, we talk about Bing, we talk about Galaxy phones, and a bunch of interesting things. Tune in.
Go. Google in shock as Samsung considers moving to Bing as default search engine on Galaxy phones. Shock, horror from Google. I love this because it's one of those things that you sort of, from time to time, I've wanted to happen. When Google do something mean, and I kind of think, oh God, wish somebody else could step in, and it just never seemed at all likely. But now I think there's like a tiny sliver of a chance that it might happen.
Meaning Bing could accumulate enough market share to be an actual threat to Google, to create a viable alternative?
Yeah, not just Bing, but I would. It's the same kind of, it's basically saying the same thing, but I in my head I'm saying it differently, which is that there's a chance that Google may lose its foothold as the default everywhere.
Yeah.
However that happens, maybe Bing, probably Bing, if anything.
Come back up, Ask Jeeves.
Yeah. I mean, this is basically Ask Jeeves, right? The whole AI thing is what Ask Jeeves was meant to be. It was dog pile. Yeah. What is a dog pile, by the way? I never understood that name. Is that an American thing?
I don't know.
Okay. But yeah, so Google's been like the de facto search engine for such a long time. It's a verb now. It's common parlance. Yeah. I find myself saying, "Oh, I Googled something," when actually I mean I just searched for it. But like, nothing is forever, right? So when is it going to change, and how is it going to change? I think it's kind of a fascinating thing to think about. And the AI thing might be it.
Yeah.
Google have done their usual thing of like just digging in. They've started tons of different products, and hardly any of them been super successful. At least nowhere near the as successful as Google Search. And they usually end up killing them.
Gmail and YouTube are probably notable exceptions.
True. Yes, that's true. But both of those have. YouTube was an acquisition, but Gmail hasn't changed since it was started, basically. I mean, if you looked at what...
Sure, but Google, how many grand slams do you need to hit to be a successful company?
I'm not saying Google's not
they strike out a lot, but...
They're not good at innovation, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Even though they have a whole alphabet innovation thing.
And you can't forget about Android.
Android, yeah. Chrome, yeah.
Android was also an acquisition.
All right.
I want to say Chromium was homegrown.
And Google Plus.
Yeah.
Wave.
You guys have seen the Google Google Graveyard, right?
Yeah, of course. And it is long.
It is just hundreds and hundreds of products that they've killed off. Yeah, so I kind of I don't know. I want to see a different search engine. So with the Google Bard, which I tried out, by the way, is not as good as Bing search, Bing AI, Sydney or whatever it's called, and it's not as good as ChatGPT, and I don't know. Haven't seen much of a response from them yet. So
yeah.
What do you think?
So let me just reset the story a little bit, and then we'll come back to that, because sometimes people say we skip over that little tidbit a little bit too quickly. So this is an article in Sam Mobile. You read the headline, Peter. Google in shock as Samsung considers moving to Bing as a default search engine on Galaxy phones. Basically, the crux of the story is that and we kind of see this with like a lot of devices. This was the whole thing with Microsoft and pushing their own, web browsers or search engines. Basically, Samsung is saying that we're thinking about not using Google as the default search engine on the phone, which means every new Samsung phone that's sold, and they're one of the top sellers of phones in the world will not have Google installed by default, potentially could have Bing installed by default, and that would affect Google's market share, which has them concerned.
Yeah, sorry. Should have. To anyone listening, I should have done that at the beginning.
Yeah, no, it's fine. So I think I heard somebody talking about search engines and saying that basically Google was created at a time when the internet consisted of a million individual websites and nothing really tying them together. Where today the internet is predominantly owned by Facebook, Twitter, AOL, Yahoo, those kinds of sites, properties. And so to some extent, the search engine is less relevant. AI, we've talked about before, I think is kind of a slightly different thing because it's not telling you where to find content. It's just kind of guessing at what the right answer is. And then maybe it'll tell you what resources it used to arrive by that answer. So I don't know how that actually solves the problem either. But the search engine industry clearly is in a tremendous state of flux right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think that it's the kind of, let's say if we replace the word search with assistant or helper or thing that does the most common action that you're going to perform. Like, so, you know, when they changed the address bar to be default searching, so you just type into the address bar and it searches Google for you. That's kind of a handy thing, I think. I was already doing something like that with custom searches in Opera way back in the day, where you just put a single letter, space, and then something, you know, G space, whatever. Or W space, whatever, to search Wikipedia, G space, something to search Google. So that was sort of my default actions. And when they changed it, it like kind of made sense. It was natural to me. And that's still how like my mum gets to her email is she types in Gmail into the address bar,
hit center, and then clicks
at the search
sponsored ad
and clicks clicks the sponsored ad. So, but if the you want to do something, so if you could like. If the default thing that happened when you turned on your phone was there was an assistant instead of a search bar, or opened your browser was like, what do you want to do? And you just said, I don't know, go to Gmail or find my pictures or whatever. And it was a really cool AI assistant. I can see that replaced. The thing is, like, Google aren't good at reacting, right? They're not good at like big shifts. They're very set in their ways, and any kind of new projects they do are all experiments and everything. So things have happened so quickly. I don't see things inside Google fundamentally shifting.
Yeah. Well, feel free to jump in, John. But to the idea of an assistant, like that makes sense. I totally get that. If I go to Google something, I usually just want the answer. I don't necessarily want to have to, follow 15 different links to find what I think is the best answer. However, if I'm the person answering questions, I lose my incentive to do that. Because now people aren't going to come to my page. Sydney's just going to tell them what my page says, which in the long run now creates a problem, because if Sydney's using my page for the answer, but I'm no longer putting my page up because there's no incentive for me to do that, what is Sydney going to use to determine the answer? So there's very wildly shifting dynamics here for content creators.
Well, so you're not wrong.
Obviously.
I do think that data will still be able to be scraped by these AI tools from places like Reddit and other forums where people want to communicate and discuss topics or discuss issues and discuss problems and seek out solutions. My default to troubleshooting nowadays, anything in life, not even technical, just anything, is search the problem and end it with Reddit.
Interesting.
Or like site :reddit.com. Like, so it only searches Reddit. Like, that's the only way I find things now. I'm not going to go click on some random how-to website. I'm going to go look at Reddit first. Like, that's going to be my first go-to. So really, Google is just a jumping off point anyway for finding links. Like, not even not even like finding links in a specific website. It's not even what I'm using to find the links, if that makes sense. I'm using Reddit. The only things Google did for me is crawl Reddit. So
I would I would say that's actually, I think you kind of introduced me to that trick, and that is becoming my second option. My first option, actually, for most things these days, is actually YouTube search.
Sure. Yeah. Same thing.
Really?
Right? Same solution.
Yeah.
Or same problem, I guess, slightly different solution or end result, because now you get to visualize the solution or whatever.
Yeah.
I think I think you guys are looking at it a little bit in a closed space. I'm not going to ask my AI assistant, how do I 3D print this replacement part for my chair? I'm going to say, show me people or show me a thread where someone fixed this problem, and it will then take me to where I need to go.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I need context. I can't blindly trust that the AI is going to 100% success rate pick the right thing.
I agree with that, but I think most people will.
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair.
I don't know. I think there's there's two kind of content, right? There's sort of entertainment content, like stuff that you're just interacting with, or I don't know, not interacting with, but like
consuming, like
like there's factual stuff. There's like things I want to do, like tasks and reminders and facts and figures and what's going on. And then there's like the sort of relaxed bit, like chatting and watching videos and Twitch and shit like that. And I think that will always be something that you go to another site for, and you go and consume. Like I'll go to, I don't know, Bleeping Computer, because I just want to see what sort of cybersecurity shit has been going on today in a easy to consume format. I'll go to YouTube and just look at the suggestions or the subscriptions, or whatever. But if I want the answer to a question, or if I want a fact, or if I want a specific thing, then I will use. I have my default browser set to Brave search in Brave, and I use Google much more than I'm going to switch it back to Google, even though I don't like that, because Google has these handy little things at the top. Like I use it for currency conversions and for calculations. I'll type in 314 times 9.16 into the browser bar just to see what the answer is, rather than launching calculator and typing it all in there. What's the capital of this one? Flights to this one, flight number, whatever. All the little kind of snippets things, they're really useful, and Brave doesn't do it as well. So that's what I would like use an assistant for, even though the data is coming from somewhere else. But there's still a ton of value in the other side of things, which is like the more, not entertainment, but like lazy.
I mean, maybe, but even that, like PrivSec News on Twitter, it's, are you going to go scroll Bleeping Computer if you can have the highlights fed to you in a single convenient stream that focuses on security related news, like PrivSec News at Twitter?
I mean, but this actually, I just realized that the argument you guys are making is very, very close to an RSS feed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
An RSS feed was like the fear of everyone. Everyone was super scared that like no one's going to hit my website anymore. Because someone created a fucking crawler that takes the div out of the HTML and outputs it into a feed for me to look at instead, or whatever hacks it was back then, before they actually implemented RSS feeds, because they realized how good it is, or was. I don't know if anyone uses it anymore.
I mean, any podcast player uses it.
So, I mean, it's the same exact argument. I don't think that content is just going to up and die because I'll tell you one thing about all internet users, including probably us three here, we are addicted to the scroll. We're addicted to the browse.
But you're going to go to specific sites. You're going to go to YouTube,
go to
Reddit,
and just like pick the first video. I fucking scroll on YouTube.
Sure.
Scroll on Reddit. I scroll on every website I can. It's such a natural thing that even when I can't scroll, I'll try to. Like, it's just such a habit is to scroll things. Like, so my point is, we're not gonna lose that. I don't think.
I don't know. You
People
both
want
said
the illusion of choice.
You both said some version though of, do I want the answer, or do I want to find or do I want a resource where I can find the answer?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's gonna. Well, yeah. I don't know. That's kind of what this future of search engine focuses on.
I don't trust the AI to pick the right decision for me. I would tell it, show me, and then I would say, also give me context.
But we've already seen that's not happening though. People ask AI all kinds of questions and then just act on the answers.
Yeah, sure.
Turn out to be wrong.
I'm totally with you. I'm just saying that I'm one demographic. There is going to be other demographic that are happy with the answer it gives.
I think most people are. I was thinking about this the other day, right? So I was watching something, and it was giving me some. It was a mockumentary or something like this, and I was laughing at it. But it was like a parody of a documentary. But I was laughing at it because it was college humor or something like this. One of these clearly labeled satire sites, and it was funny, but it was very accurate. I think maybe it was The Onion, actually, or something like this. It was very close to the real style of an actual factual documentary.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought I saw an actual documentary, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting about penguins that they mate for life." That's And I was wondering, why do I implicitly trust the documentary? And I think it's just the way it's presented. It's just, and I didn't go and fact check that thing about penguins. I didn't go, I'm going to double check that penguins actually do mate for life. I'm going to find the source material. And it was presented in a certain way, and it had a serious voice. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, I accept that. So it's perfectly natural to do the same thing with an AI when it does that kind of thing. And I only look at one source in a situation like that. So we can take the piss out of people who don't blindly accept what they're told by AIs and the news and whatever, but I think we all do it. So
yeah, I agree.
Anyway,
yeah. So
tangent. Sorry.
Without checking, do penguins mate for life? I throw it into Google, and it highlights for me. In some cases, they could mate for life, but this is not always the case. Question answer.
Oh my god!
Do I vet where this came from? Do I check other sources? Do I know if bird fact is a real thing? No.
Right.
But here's the answer. Boom.
Yeah.
Settled. Moving on with the rest of my life. Like that. That's how people are.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Going back to the assistant AI thing, I think there's going to be. I think both things will continue to exist. Because we in real life we don't just we look for things outside our sphere, right? We have trusted friends that we accept the word of, but it's not like we stop talking to other people ever. Do you know what I mean?
I think opinionated questions are going to be interesting. Why should I vote for X? Then the bot's going to come back. I am a language model, and I can't tell you, but it will say, but here are some things about that person that might convince you to vote for them. And it's going to be some really interesting macro style data on like, what is its sway? What is its biases? Like you will be able to eventually figure that out. Some people way smarter than me are going to be able to figure that out. And that's going to be really interesting to see in the feels like very near future.
Yeah.
So as a final thought, I would like to apologize to the audience for the penguin porn that I put up on the screen about 60 seconds ago. You should go back and look at that. And when you see what I'm talking about, click the like button to let me know.
Yeah. Come by Discord and share some either outrage
Mike.
or just more penguin porn.
Yeah, no, I did.
Well, you don't need to share that.
Acceptable.
We do not condone sharing that. But
I mean, it already leaked through into the video, so.
All right, it's all right.